G'day viewers, welcome back to Aussie Backyard Food. Look at that, eh? Golden good stuff. I reckon there's many ways to measure a man's wealth, and right now, well, I'm feeling pretty wealthy. As I watch that liquid gold pour out of my own drum from bees in my very own backyard. I reckon it doesn't get much better than that. Check that out, eh? Bloody beautiful. This episode's about a beekeeping first for me. I recently got a call from a mate, Daz. He said, "Shauno, I need a hand, mate. My neighbour, he's got a bit of a bee problem. They're living behind his brick wall." Didn't sound good, but not being one to balk at a challenge, and being a concerned beekeeper as I am, I don't like to think or even hear of any bees suffering a pesticide-induced fate. So I headed around there, and this episode's all about the adventures that ensued. Let's get into it. Well, I might as well do a bit of recording.
You might as well,
yeah.
I just saw a lazy one. It was just like buzzing.
Today, we're up in sunny Hazelbrook, and we're doing a trap out. As you can see, got a bunch of bees here, probably a few thousand, and we're trying to give them alternative accommodation. Paul here and his lovely wife didn't fancy sharing their home with a few thousand visitors, so we're trying to give them an alternative. And we're doing what we call a trap out. It's basically where you put a funnel at the bees' entrance and you make it hard for them to get in, and we give them an alternative, which is a small nuke box. They haven't quite cottoned onto it yet. So as you can see, this is likely their moving in day. They're all very passive. I'm up with a few thousand bees actually buzzing around my head, and they're not stinging or anything. They're very passive. We've just simply set up this cone over the vent that they were using. Sort of carefully had a couple of goes at sealing around the edges because they're really determined to get in there, and we're hopeful that within a short amount of time they discover this entrance. Inside we've got a few frames of freshly drawn comb with bee scent all over it. So the theory is that they'll smell that and start to make this their home.
Well, they come down, but there's not even near as many out.
Here we go. We've sealed off every possible point of entry, leaving just the cone for them to exit. So I had a phone call last night from Megan to say that there's been a new development in our trap out job. Unfortunately, it looks like our cones come away from the wall, and the bees have got ready access to Paul and Megan's wall cavity. So they've had a good few days to start setting up their new accommodation, which will mean in turn that the bees will be even more determined to stick to their plan A, and we're going to have to probably do a bit of a better job of convincing them otherwise. So that's what we're on our way to do this morning. Good fun. Okay, so you can see what's happening here. The bees have found a second alternative way in up the top where that tape's come away, so we'll have to patch that up. This cone is still working reasonably well. You can see the bees coming out, having a bit of trouble getting in. So we'll just do a bit of a patch-up job and go from there. So when all else fails, go with a bit of black roadie tape. Pretty sticky stuff. Fingers crossed. You know you got people's confidence when they start asking you, so what are you going to do if this doesn't work? There is another course of action. Let's hope we don't have to go there. So you can see I've gone right around the perimeter, narrowed the funnel entrance even more to make it really difficult to get in. A one-way exit is what we want. There's a few getting in, but hopefully, as long as more come out than go in, we're in business. G'day, Paul.
How's things, alright?
Yeah, good.
Busy?
Oh, busy enough, mate.
Yeah.
Not too busy that I couldn't call in to see how our bees are going, though.
They look busy too.
They are. Busiest out of all of us. But it looks like they're taken to it.
That box, excellent.
Just returned to our trap out. Day 8, hoping for better results. Still not a hell of a lot of activity coming out of our entrance here. A bit of activity, but not as much as we hoped for. And that is because they'd managed to chew through the tape on the top left-hand corner there. That's why you can see them determinedly trying to get in through the spot which we've now sealed up. So, set a bit of a setback, set us back a few days, but hopefully it's our final setback, and when I come back in a couple more, they've taken to the box. Isn't that right, Cooper?
Yeah.
Will Batman save us?
No.
Will he help at all?
No.
No? Who will help? Maybe this is a job for Spider-Man. Alright, signing out. So still here, day 8, there I was puzzling with what I can do to make this trap out any better, and I was thinking, if only there was a way I could increase the length of my funnel and make it a bit slipperier, a bit harder for the bees to get inside. And then all of a sudden, and this was just me thinking to myself, all of a sudden a little mate piped up standing next to me named Cooper, and he handed me one of his little magic cartoon straws and said, why don't you try this, without me saying a word. And have a look at that, people. I couldn't have invented anything better myself. So there we go. Cooper, thanks, mate. Alright. Me mate Cooper here, he's an enthusiastic beginner beekeeper, but he's a bit shy, camera shy, but we'll work on that, won't we, mate? Well, here's his dad anyway. How's it going, Paul? Do you think we're getting there, mate?
I'm hoping so. Something's got to happen soon. Cause,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're persistent. I'll give them that. They are very persistent on what they want. So,
Yeah, they have been, mate, but yeah, I think Cooper's invention might just get us over the line.
Well, fingers crossed this time that this works. So.
Yeah, alright. Well, it's 2 weeks on, and still our bees remain determined to set up home in Paul and Megan's house. Paul and Megan have been more than understanding with how long this has taken. This is the first time I've ever done this. As you can see, they're still ever determined to get up that tube. But I'm going to give it one more roll of the dice. I was here earlier today, frustratedly shaking my head with my young bloke, and he gave me an idea. He said, why don't you set up a one-way gate? So that's what we're going to try. We'll give it a crack, eh? So as you can see, there's a bit of coming and going from the front door, but still most of the attention remains on the straw. So what I've added to the end is my version of a bee one-way valve. Let's see if they can work out how to get out of it. Look at all those bees with pollen on their legs. Baby food. No bees coming down our tube yet. Down the inside of it at least anyway. There's one. Push through. Yes. There's another one. Two out and none in. Three. They're really starting to bank up now. A lot of them are returning back from their foraging, being the warm spring day that it is, loaded with pollen. They're all going to start banking up, and hopefully, not being able to get into the main hive, they'll have no alternative this time than to start using our box, and then eventually the queen will come out. That's the plan. Another one, another one. Six, seven, 9. There goes one trying to get back in. 9 in the black. Double figures. Okay, so it's the day after we installed our bee valve, and I got here to find that the bees had already partly compromised our bee valve. They were chewing away on it, because all I had to create the valve was like a plastic backed paper. So I've got to get to work and make something a little bit better for the next time this happens. But I've used more of that plastic backed paper. You can just see it sticking out the end of our clear hose there, to improve it. And actually, as I'm going, I'm thinking of better ways I can design this one-way bee valve. So let's have a look, a bit of a closer look, and see how it's going. So as you can see, most of the bees now are using the box. I like the idea of having these tendrils, if you like, at the bottom of our bee valve. You can see, if you have a look, there's still some bees up there trying to chew away on what's left of the old valve. But I like the idea of having like hairs hanging out the bottom to make it even harder for the bees to negotiate that entrance. So I'm going to work on that for next time and use more heavy duty material. Here comes a bee out. Another one. 3. That's good. Good to see. Any bees going in through that back door. I also took a tip from my neighbour Glenn, who's featured in another previous Aussie Backyard Food episode and put a cotton bud dipped in lemongrass oil inside the hive, and we'll see what that does as well. I have heard about the benefits of lemongrass oil and its luring influence on bees. So as you can see, there's a lot of bees in that box, so fingers crossed. Okay, we're back at Paul and Megan's. The reason I'm whispering is the bees are just going to bed. We're going to tape them up and take them away to their new home, my backyard. It's been 17 days since we first set this up. I was here earlier today and I'm reasonably confident the queen's in there. Okay, so if this did work, it'll be a credit to young Cooper, who lives here, for his little straw addition, and also to Darcy for his one-way valve idea that I'll be sure to utilise if I ever have this problem again. Thanks, boys. Alright, so here's their new home. I hope they like it. Full moon. Look at that. Got a good feeling about this. Just come and have a look while we're here in the dark. At what bees like to do on a nice warm evening. Just like us, they like to hang out on the porch. Okay, so it's the next day after our new hive was put in place. As you can see, the bees are just orientating themselves to their new home. But we're not out of the woods yet. There's a chance that there's no queen in there. I was fairly confident that we had a pretty full box of bees. I could hear them buzzing away last night, and that's been proven by the amount of activity at the entrance here. But have we got a queen? It's only one way to find out. Alright, we'll get this frame out of the way. Nothing much happening here. Being on the outside, that's pretty normal. Do we have a queen? There's already plenty of nectar in there. Geez, that's good. Good sign. She's most likely to be on this middle frame. Quite a bit of weight there for such a young colony. Lots of nectar in there for such a young colony. Where are you, Queenie? No sign of any eggs either. Can't see her. Let me know if you spot her, won't you? Okay, so without a queen, this colony is destined to fail. The queen is the centre of any colony. Without new eggs being laid and brood being brought up, the colony won't survive. So as it happens, just yesterday I did a inspection on this colony at the end and found it was about to swarm. There was swarm cells present, young queens growing up inside cells, so I split it. Not to be discouraged, it's always good to see a colony doing well to the point where it will attempt to reproduce. So I've done that for that colony. I actually took the old queen away, placed her in a new box over here, just there, with half of that original colony, and what should still remain in this colony are some capped queen cells. So my plan is to take one of those capped queen cells, because there should be a few in there, and insert it into here so they can have a brand new queen. That's the plan anyway. Let's give it a shot. Okay, that's a queen cell right there. See that elongated downward pointing queen cell? That's been capped. Here's one that's on its way to being capped with a young queen inside it. Hopefully you can see that. Lighting is not real good. The young queen inside that cell. Here we have another 2 queen cells. Okay, I'm actually going to go with 3, just for insurance. There's plenty of queen cells in the other colony, just to give them every chance. Simply insert them in between the tops of the frames, in the middle of the hive where it's its warmest. Make a bit of space. Well, the odds have certainly been stacked against this colony. Not only did they choose to set up their home in the worst possible place, as far as they're concerned, and I guess Paul and Megan, but they were subject to a beekeeper's first attempt at a trap out. And I learned a lot along the way. I guess it remains to be seen that they're going to be saved. Hopefully one of those 3 queens is viable, and I guess we'll know that in a couple of weeks. When I come back to check them, there'll be signs of fresh eggs and fresh larvae to indicate that she's alive and well. Well, it's been 2.5 weeks since we brought our brick wall bees home. It's time to open it up and confirm whether or not we've got an active mated laying queen in there, because as with all colonies, the success and the future of that colony depends largely upon the health of the queen. And it's a beautiful sunny spring October day here in the Blue Mountains. I'll just pan around a bit for you. Check out that bottle brush there. How's that for close proximity to the hives? In fact, my bees get so lazy sometimes I even see them walk into the flowers. Alright, let's check it out. So a bit of a whiff of smoke at the entrance, just to settle them down. Another whiff. There's plenty of noise there, which is good. Have we got a queen? Nothing happening on the outside frame, which is pretty normal. Alright. Fair bit of new nectar. See that glistening away in the cells, and then down below it we've got some pollen being stored. No brood, of course, yet in this camera. Here we have one queen cell opened up at the bottom, and the other two that we inserted, all open and empty. This frame should tell all. Alright, can you spot a queen? There's no, it's pretty unlikely actually, because it's all pollen. You can see all the different coloured pollen in the centre, and nectar. No sign of, don't speak too soon, Shauno. I see eggs. I see eggs. Just in here. We have a queen. Let's see if we can spot her. Right, this side's full of eggs. And even some young larvae. Can you see those, people? Can you see those eggs? See those little tiny white elongated dots at the bottom of the cells? They're baby eggs, baby bees, I should say. Oh, and there she is, you bloody ripper. And isn't she beautiful? Big golden queen. Big healthy golden queen. Oh, I'm so stoked. Well, our brick wall bees will live when they nearly cop the mortine can. They will live on. You ripper. So, I reckon it's definitely a case of all's well that ends well. We saved our brick bees. Would I do it again? A full colony extraction from behind a brick wall? I'm not sure. I'll weigh that up at the time, I suppose. But it does me good to think that I've saved a colony that would have otherwise been eradicated with pesticide. Also, on another good note, I've just inspected the hive down the end where we stole those queen cells from to requeen our brick bees, and they are pumping along so well that they were probably on the verge of swarming again, so I've had to put a second box on top of those. I've got obviously some really good genetics there, and I'm glad to have passed some of those genetics onto our brick bees now. They should go on and succeed just as well as the colony down the end. So that's all for now. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you later.